Okay, so I wanted to try a few things with iOS 13. I've got the USB adapter, the official one, and I didn't realise that you can use a mouse with iOS 13. I thought it was only on iPad, but it does work on iPhone as well. But also I've been asked if a wired Xbox controller works, so I thought I'd try plugging that in as well and see what mouse and keyboard together is like using on iPhone. Okay, so this is how you set up a wired mouse to work with iOS 13. You've got to go into Accessibility under Settings, go to Touch, go to Assistive Touch, and then go down to Pointing Devices, and you can see USB optical mouse. So if I click on this and you press a button, it then gives you an option of what you use for it. So in the case of this, left click is single tap. Which is fine. If I customize another button, press the right click, I'm going to say I found that home was quite useful for that one. So, and I don't know if I can use the scroll wheel. Oh yeah, I can use the scroll wheel as well. So I've got a third button as well, which I'm going to say Shake, SOS, Voice, Apple Pay, Control Center, App Switcher. I'm not too bothered. I'm going to try App Switcher and just see what that's like. So yeah, button 3. Right, so now what you've got to do is turn on Assistive Touch. So if I go back, now in the case of mine, I can triple tap and Assistive Touch comes on, but you can also toggle it on and off with this. And as you can see now, I have a mouse. Or mouse control or a pointer control. Now if I go into say for instance notes, this was me testing it earlier on, so what I can do is I can press on a word and it selects it, but I can also drag across and it seems to work. So holding the left click seems to work quite well actually, and then you can see I've got options that come up here. So there's no cut option there, is there? I had cut earlier on, so if I do select, so now I can, so select cut, but I can't, oh yes I can scroll down, I can tap here, or I could say pop it in the middle of between play and there you go, and then if I tap again, and then I can paste. So where I see this being possibly useful is not so much like this, and obviously it's an accessibility feature, so for people who can't use a touchscreen, it's going to be great for them because you can use an awful lot on the phone. So remember I did right click for home, so right click brings me back to that. What was the middle click was App Switcher. Now how's that going to work for moving left and right? Oh, you can actually slide them. So if I hold the left click, I can actually slide between them. So say for instance I want to use YouTube, and this, so obviously I'm just using the mouse control. This is quite cool actually. If you had it, I'm thinking about issues where you had a display that you couldn't get to. So if you mirrored this onto a TV and gave someone control, if all they had was the the ability to move a mouse, then and scroll works, look. So I can do that, and I can pick a video. I can pause that video, I can skip the ad. See, people have been complaining about this. I think this is alright. It's a really good start. So this then paired with a keyboard, I think is where it's going to make the difference. So for instance on this, so I've got my phone, I'll put it in landscape mode. So we've got Bluetooth flashing. Well, let's see if we can do this with, go to home. Oh, right, okay, so I'm holding the mouse in the wrong way, right? Just so that you can see it on camera, right? So I need Bluetooth. Or let's just do this on the screen, only because I've put the screen in landscape and I'm sat this orientation, so it's a bit strange to use. Right, so Bluetooth. Let's find, let's see, I use a lot of Bluetooth devices. So keyboard 3632. Yeah, Bluetooth keyboard connected. Right, so let's go back into my Notes app, pop it into landscape. So now I've got mouse control. So imagine if this is on a monitor or on a TV using AirPlay, and now the new Samsung TVs have got AirPlay. It's going to come to Sony, it's going to come to LG. So you would be able to, say for instance you needed to do a bit of typing, you could be typing away. Obviously I'm an incredibly fast typist, and you have the way I had it before. I've used this with my iPad before, and I just found it annoying that you had to touch the screen. There was no way of navigating. And actually now, so if I click and hold on definitely, so I can change a lot of these options. So select, I can again cut that, pop it down here, long press, and then paste. So that, that's all right really. And obviously you have keyboard shortcuts as well, but it's nice to be able to move around, scroll up and scroll down, and use that. Obviously I'm using this on an iPhone, which isn't the ideal thing, but imagine this on the bigger screen. Imagine it on my iPad. I'm not putting iOS 13 on my iPad yet because it's in beta and it is a bit buggy. I've been having trouble with emails and various things. It's still been good, and it's in beta, so it's not an issue. But yeah, so to be fair, that's all right really. So if I pick this, let's see what it thinks this word might be, or look up. Search the web. What's going to find on that? Okay, something to do with NASA. So if I right click, that now takes me back to the home screen. Now, because the home screen on an iPhone is in portrait mode, my mouse is a bit odd because my mouse is down here and my phone is this direction. But if it was on an iPad, everything would stay in landscape mode, so that would be fine. So I would right click, and then I would use that app switcher to be able to switch back into Notes or whatever app I was going to go into. Again, because this is the wrong orientation, it's a bit weird for me. So let's switch that back. So imagine this on an iPad, it wouldn't be doing the portrait landscape switching, and you have this just a little bit extra. So if you're using Word or various different programs that are requiring a lot of text input, then it really could come in handy. And it's only a start, so maybe Apple will go down the route of making this properly work for normal apps and just in a standard way, a bit like it does with Android. So it would just give you a bit more Office sort of functionality. I think it's certainly the way it's going to go. Now the other thing I wanted to try was, I've got a Bluetooth keyboard here which has got a track point on it, and I wondered how that would trackpad. And I wondered how a trackpad would work. So if I switch that on, right, so let's go back into settings. Press and hold the Bluetooth and see what happens. Bluetooth keyboard. So I wonder what that will do with, will it do something with the track point? Yeah, so I don't even need to, because mouse is set up already. So let's go back into here. So now I've got trackpad. Why does it think I need a keyboard, I wonder? That's weird that it doesn't take the keyboard as it doesn't detect that I've got a keyboard there. How do I hide the keyboard? Like that. But then as soon as I start to type, so click on there. Yeah, as soon as I click on and type, for some reason this is treated differently to this keyboard. But this is interesting that the trackpad works, because that's, well, what's the trackpad like then? So let's move around with the trackpad and tap, move around. So if I long press, double press. Yeah, so it looks like double tap because it's a trackpad. So the trackpad is slightly different. So it's looking for double tap to select something, but that actually works all right. But then if you wanted to drag, that would be a bit strange. So I've got a left mouse pointer here, click on that and then, whoop, Oh yeah, see that wasn't. And have I got scrolling? So I can't scroll up and down, and I'm getting assistive touch because it thinks I'm pressing the third right button. Yeah, okay, so that's a bit weird, but obviously this is a very small trackpad. So I have, does that work, page up? And what about if I drag? So you can left click and drag, which is also a way of moving around. So that, actually that works all right. But as soon as I click on something, the keyboard comes up, even though there's a keyboard attached. So I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because it's a combined device. But if you had maybe a separate keyboard and a separate Bluetooth mouse, that would probably work differently. Well, if I, it's just going to get confusing. Turn this one on, see if this pairs. Yeah, so that's typing. So, but how, it's something to do with, yeah, so it's something to do with the fact that this is paired, which means that it wants that keyboard up. So if I turn this off now, get rid of that, and yeah, so now keyboard and the mouse, so I had two mice connected then, so I had the trackpad and the mouse, and both were identified, a bit like it would be on a Windows computer or anything like that. So that's interesting as well. Last one to try, not last one, last keyboard to try is this one, which is not a Bluetooth one, it's a wired one. And this is the sort of thing you use with an Android box or something like that. I use it with my NVIDIA Shield. There's no pairing to go through because it's got a dongle, so it just pairs straight with the dongle, so it's treated like a wired device. So I've got nothing yet. Nothing there. Is it powered? So I'm not getting mouse. I'm getting keyboard, but I'm not getting mouse. Now I wonder why that is. Could go into settings and have a look. So if I go into settings, accessibility, touch, assistive touch is on, pointing device, assistive touch, pointing devices. I'm doing this on a funny angle. Right, connected devices. Yeah, interesting. Like it doesn't think there's a mouse connected, but it did like the trackpad on this. So this is a pure Bluetooth mouse keyboard, but it doesn't like it on this. Doesn't recognise it on this. As soon as I plug in a proper mouse, you can see it comes up straight away, and because assistive touch is on, that's working as well. Right, so that's that bit. By the way, I mentioned in a previous video, I've just ordered another one of these, and this is an FCR MRG2. It's a USB to micro SD adapter, which works in this device, and it works without any assisted power. So you don't need any other devices, you literally just plug it straight into here with an SD card in it, and you've got access to the SD card with iOS 13 as you would have with a normal USB stick. The difference is that normal USB sticks require more power, so they'll only work with the USB hub or the powered version of this device. So I've got an Xbox 360 controller which is wired, and I've got my Xbox One controller. So let's plug the Xbox One controller in, because that's more likely to work. So this Xbox One controller, and I've done a video on this, this doesn't work with iOS 13 because it's not a Bluetooth device. Only certain controllers are, and if you check out my video it tells you exactly which Xbox controllers work. So let's plug this in with micro USB. So it's not come up with an error, it's come up like it's charging. So I guess if I start a game that supports controllers, then we might find so Sega Tennis. So it's referring to touch. Let's turn this bit on. That's now turned on my Xbox. So it doesn't seem to have, yeah, because that's now connected to my Xbox. Let's just unplug and plug in again. And that's going to be controlling my Xbox. So that doesn't work. Let's just try an Xbox 360 controller. They did only say that Bluetooth ones work, but I got asked the question and I thought, well, I might as well try it on a video. So we had a light momentarily. What's interesting is it's not coming up with an error message saying that it's not got enough power, but it just isn't powering it. That doesn't work, but it was interesting for me to try the mouse and keyboard. I think that as a combo is all right if you've got to do a bit of typing, you know, responding to emails and things like that. Because of the awkwardness of kind of touching a screen on an iPad when you're typing, having this as a little extra and being able to customize those extra buttons as well. So you've got little quick shortcuts to various different features. It's definitely a step in the right direction. So thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.